Hi there. Today I'm going to be sharing with you how to get the best out of your networking opportunities. I'm going to share a PowerPoint presentation with you that will take you through each step that you need to go through if you're going to have a successful networking opportunity. So let's go. How to get the best out of your networking opportunities. The first thing that we need to think about is why we bother networking at all. Or do we need to think about our perception of what networking is? So let's have a little look at some of these things. Networking helps you to build up this sense of know, like, and trust with potentially your ideal client, or if not your ideal client, someone who knows your ideal client. It helps you to build a network of people that you can call on. Now, these are not necessarily people who are ever going to buy your product. These can be people who may help you. There are people who have skills that you don't. There are people who may refer you to other people. So building a network of people you can socialize with, share information with, learn from is really important. And sometimes sales happen as a result of networking, but to my mind, that's not the reason we network. And it's not the reason that should be at the forefront of our mind. Because if you've ever been to a networking event or any kind of meeting where you end up speaking to somebody and you just know in your gut that they can't wait to get to the line where they offer you something to buy, it's very uncomfortable for you. And actually, it's very uncomfortable for them as well, because they're waiting for no. Or if it's not a no, it's, oh, that's interesting. I'll just need some time to think about it, or whatever. So the idea of networking is really to build up your capital, your personal capital of people who potentially will refer you or help you, and maybe some of them will give you business. The other thing that I wanted to cover today was looking at the difference between online and offline networking. Okay, the face-to-face in the room with a cup of coffee type of networking versus your online networking, which of course is also face-to-face via a screen, via Wi-Fi and broadband and all that kind of malarkey. The interesting thing is, with your face-to-face in the room networking, it can sometimes be difficult to work out who you actually want to speak to. Now, some networking groups are really, really good about getting people to actually match up with other people that they've heard something about that they want to speak to. But a lot of the time it's very hit and miss. With online networking, some of it is also very hit and miss. Sometimes you will be put into a breakout room with somebody and they may not necessarily be the person you wanted to speak to. But what I've found through ending up in breakout rooms with people is I end up having more meaningful conversations about business than I potentially would have had in a face-to-face situation over a cup of coffee. The other big thing where they share a similarity is in some networking groups where you were in a physical room, there could be like 40 odd people there. And everybody would do their 30 seconds, 45 seconds, 60 seconds. And by the time it got to you, depending on where you were in the room, really depended upon whether people had information overload and didn't actually hear, even though they were listening, didn't actually hear exactly what it was you did. A similar thing happens with online forums. Some of these online networking opportunities are actually very big as well. The nice thing about it, though, is that everybody has an opportunity to put what they do and their contact details and things like that in the chat. Of course, you could argue that there's as much chance of somebody using that chat as they did your business card when it got sent around at the face-to-face. So I think what I'm saying to you is that I actually don't see an awful lot of difference, except you provide your own coffee, breakfast or lunch, depending on what time the meeting's at. So it'd be interesting for you to think about that yourself. Do you think it's different? Do you think there's a lot of similarities? And actually, which do you prefer? One of the things I enjoy about online networking is that you can go further afield. You're not limited by how far you can drive. Okay, let's move on. So getting down to the whole networking activity. How often do you think before you actually sign on to an online networking or before you would have gone to a face-to-face networking, how often do you actually set some intentions? Now, it's interesting because everybody has a different way of doing this. But if you don't set an intention about what you want to achieve, as it says here in the diary definition, what is your aim or purpose of going to that networking, then how will you ever know whether or not you actually have had a successful networking event? There is no prescription here. It can be okay to think about, okay, I just want to go on to this networking meeting and you get the feel of the group, meet a few people, see what everybody does, and that's it. You know, if I make a few contacts along the line, then that's cool. It could also be that you want to go to a networking meeting with the idea that you're going to actually meet a specific person or people in a specific industry that you think may have some opportunities for conversations or collaborations. If you can come up with none of those ideas or any other of your own, what I suggest you do is obviously not 2 minutes before you go into the networking meeting, but maybe the day before, maybe that morning, if it's not too early, is just take a little bit of time, find somewhere quiet to sit. Okay? I find it easier if I close my eyes when I do this activity, because when my eyes are open, sometimes they're too easily distracted. So I will close my eyes and I will pause. Then I'll take a nice breath. So breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And then I'll put that question. What do I want to achieve through doing this particular networking event? Why am I going to this networking event? How is this networking event going to help me? Who would I like to meet at this networking event? Just ask yourself a range of questions and then sit. And the brain, being the wonderful powerhouse that it is, will provide you with some answers. And some of those answers may be very different from what you're expecting. So I actually would really encourage you to do this, to take a moment out and set your intentions for any of your networking activities. Okay, so once you've set your intention, what you want to do is to try and attract people so that they do want to speak to you, they do want to have a follow-up, a one-to-one a Zoom cup of coffee or whatever it would be. And that's where you can use your compelling introduction. Now, a lot of the time when you go networking, there's this kind of rhythm that happens in the room, and people rock up and they say, "Oh, my name is," and I do whatever. Okay. Now, it's very important that people understand what you do. But if, again, you're in a room and every single person starts their 60 seconds with "my name is," what it does, it's repetitive and it kind of lulls everybody into this sort of semi-conscious state. And so it's really good if you can come up with something a little bit more engaging before you say your name. And that's why you might want to use this why, how, now method of doing your compelling introduction. So with the why, a lot of the time, what really sparks people's brains is a question. So why not kick off your 60 seconds with a question? And so how I might do that would be, did you know 96% of the population would rather die than stand up and speak in public? Would that get you listening? Would that get you thinking? You might be thinking, she's having a laugh. You might be thinking, really? Okay, so what's going on? And then I might go on and say, my name's Dawn Gregory, and I'm a public speaking coach. I help my clients get clear and confident about any of their speaking opportunities so that they show up, stand up, and speak with complete confidence and clarity. Wow. So now, not only have I sparked a little bit of interest with the 96% question, I've told people who I am and what I do. And then we get to the now bit. And the now bit allows you to add a little bit more, maybe a testimonial from a client, or maybe just a call to action. So I might end up by saying, so if you or anybody you know feels that they would like to become more confident and more assured about their public speaking, I'd love to have a chat with them. And that's very low level. Okay, there's lots of different ways you can do it. But what I would do is I would give you freedom to play with this. Have a go. See how it works. The next thing that you need to think about, so we've so far talked about intention, now, and then we spoke about attraction. Now we're going to speak about action. Okay, and the action comes in a number of ways. You will have listened to a number of people's 60 seconds. You may have been in a breakout room with people. I'm focusing this really on the online networking end of things because at the moment with COVID, it doesn't seem like we're going to be meeting face to face in a room anytime soon. So what action are you going to take? Well, the first thing is identify who you'd like to have a little bit more of a chat with. Now, remember, you're growing your network. Therefore, you want to find out more about them to ensure that you guys are a good fit just to have conversations and potentially refer people to each other or collaborate or whatever. Although it's very early days, you need to have a few conversations first. So follow up, do save those chats. Do identify who you want to speak to and then get in touch with them and book an appointment to have a chat. Now, everybody is busy. So I would suggest that our first chat is around about half an hour. Enough time to sit, have a cup of coffee, and find out a little bit about each other. If you feel that you're a good mix, then you can go on and book another one for maybe a little bit longer. Another thing that you can do, again, to help grow your network, but also to grow your visibility, is to offer to speak at one of the other meetings. That's one of the best ways for people to really understand what you do, because instead of 60 seconds, you'll get about 10 to 15 minutes to talk about your business and how you benefit and help people. And the other thing I would say is attend regularly, but do be careful to manage your time. I know that whenever we first went into lockdown last year, I ended up attending loads and loads and loads of online meetings, and it was great, and I got to know a lot more people. But one of the things that happened was I kind of got Zoom overload. I spent more time in front of a screen than doing anything else. Because apart from networking, when I was working with my clients, that was via Zoom as well. So you need to manage your time, because when you manage your time, you're managing your energy also. And that's so important for us entrepreneurs. Okay, so then what do? You rinse and repeat. Remember, repetition is the foundation of all confidence. Some of these ideas may be new to you. They may feel a bit clunky at first, but through repetition and playing with them and repeating and playing with them, they become embedded into how you do what you do. I kept one of my testimonials for this point of the presentation instead of my why now how. And here's some kind words from Becky, with whom I worked earlier in the year. And I will allow you to read that rather than me reading it out loud. I hope you were able to get all of that. You see, the interesting thing about Becky is that she really did not want to get involved with any public speaking at all. And then if we fast forward from May to, I think it was in September, we'd come out of lockdown, she got invited to speak at a networking event, and we had some sessions together to make sure everything was kind of tickety-boo and going in the right direction. And she felt so confident afterwards, because the feedback from the people who she'd been speaking to really was tremendous and enhanced her confidence hugely. So what do you do now? What would I like you to do now? 3 times a year, I run a 3-day challenge on Eventbrite, and it's a networking masterclass. And over the 3 days, we drill down a lot more in a focused way into enhancing your networking, getting the best out of your networking, attracting your ideal network, so that when people do refer you, the people they refer know about you and rock up to you ready to engage and potentially buy. So why not have a look at Eventbrite and sign up for the next 3-day masterclass? Okay, that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great day, evening, night, morning, wherever it is you are that you're listening to this. Bye for now.